Hello, it's Ranger Russ out here at the Meggs Point Nature Center. Today we've got a very special program. This program was requested, so this is going to be a program about food webs. Before I get into that, I want to remind everyone that all of our previous programs are saved in the Virtual Learning Center on our website, meggspointnaturecenter.org. Also, if you go to our YouTube channel, Meggs Point Nature Center YouTube channel, you can see all of the previous videos that we've done. So today we're going to be talking about food chains. And there is a little bit of a difference between a food chain and a food web. We're going to do a whole nother program about food webs because they are different. There are some connections though, and we need to understand a food chain before we can understand a food web. So why don't we switch over here and I will show you our basic food chain. So you'll have to forgive my drawing there. This is our smart screen we have here. So the first part about a food chain is that the food chain is a change of energy. It is the movement of energy from one thing to another. And the energy starts out from the sun. Okay, so this is the beginning of the energy. The sun is radiating energy all day. As long as the sun's out, there's energy coming, and we're feeling that energy as heat. But plants can turn that energy into growth. They can grow using the energy. That's photosynthesis, which I'll have to do a whole program on photosynthesis. So the energy comes from the sun to plants. Okay? Now, those plants are producing photosynthesis, they're growing, they're getting bigger. Animals can't get energy from the sun. So if we lay out in the sun, we're going to feel all that nice warm energy, but we're not going to be able to grow or get any nutrient from the sun. So, their animals have to eat plants. Hopefully you guys are all eating your fruits and vegetables, but we have some animals, herbivores, if you remember from other programs, that like to eat plants. So the energy goes from the plants to the animals that like to eat them. So there's our little rabbit. It's eating the grasses that are growing from the energy from the sun. All right, so the rabbit, that's a herbivore. It's called the primary consumer or the first consumer because it's the first animal that's eating something. Now the energy has to go to other things because not everything is able to eat plants. There are some things that eat animals. So carnivores and omnivores will both eat animals. And the energy from them comes from the rabbit. In this case, we have a little owl up here that is eating the rabbit. So now the energy has gone from the sun to a plant, to the rabbit, and then up to our owl. So in this case, it would be a secondary consumer or a predator that's eating the rabbits. So owls don't have a lot of predators on them. So this is a great horned owl. Not a lot of things in Connecticut eat great horned owls. But eventually, the great horned owl is going to die. And it is going to be consumed by decomposers. So the energy goes from the owl to the decomposers. The decomposers break down the energy from the owl and convert it into energy that the plants can use. The plants take up nutrients through their roots, so they are able to take up this little magnifying glass with some worms there. Those are our decomposers. And they transfer the energy back to the plants in the form of nutrients. The plants are getting energy from the sun and from the decomposers. So this is a very simple, straight food chain. This to this, sun to rabbit to owl to decomposers, back to the plants. Sorry, I left out grass. Sun to grass to rabbit to owl, decomposers to grass. And then it starts all over again. That energy continues to cycle through. But what happens if we change our food chain? Okay, so that's what we're going to do next, is we are going to make a little change to the food chain. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to get a golf course. So we're going to put a golf course where this rabbit is living. And we are going to mow all of the grass. So there isn't as much food for our rabbit. So now the energy is still coming from the sun. It's coming to the plants. But now there's not enough plants for our rabbit. So our rabbit is going to leave. He's not going to be able to get enough food. There aren't going to be enough rabbits. So now our owl has to eat something else. So the skunk is an omnivore. It's actually getting its energy from the plants, and it eats worms. So it's eating the decomposers. So it's getting its energy, and then the energy is going to the owl. Okay? So the skunk can be considered it's an omnivore, so it's eating a little of everything out here. And now the owl is going to, again, send its energy back to the decomposers. But what happened is we changed what the owl was eating. So now the owl's not eating the rabbits have gone, the owl is eating skunks. What happens if something like a skunk that wasn't being eaten exclusively by the owl now is eaten by the owl? Now we're going to lose the skunks because there aren't enough skunks to feed the owls. So we lost the rabbit because we changed the habitat. Then we lose the skunks because the owls need something else to eat. If the owls eat all the skunks and there aren't any more rabbits, then eventually we're going to lose the owls. So do you see how this is all connected? We've just changed our entire food chain just by mowing all of the grass. Now, typically we're not going to mow all the grass, but things like that can happen if we change the habitat. All right, let's look at another change we can make. All right, we can change our habitat in a few different ways. Let's say, in this case, we're going to eliminate the owls. So sometimes people see an area and they say, oh, there's too many predators. They do it a lot with wolves and coyotes and big predators like that. Apex predator, it's called. So the top predators are going to get eaten by things, and sometimes, or not eaten, but eliminated by people. So let's say we go into this forest and we don't want any owls in the forest. So we are going to take the owls out of the forest. And you think, okay, that's not going to affect too much because now these animals, they can grow, they can live happily, nothing is eating them. What's it mean if nothing is eating a rabbit? If nothing eats a rabbit, then we are going to get lots of rabbits. I'm not going to draw a whole bunch of rabbits, but we'll get a whole bunch of rabbits because there's nothing eating them. Well, you say, okay, that's all right. So the energy is still coming from the sun to the plants, and now the rabbits are eating all of that energy. There are so many rabbits that now we've taken away one of the food sources for our deer over here. So this deer likes to eat grass. It eats everything, all the plants. So the rabbits now have eaten all of the grass. So what does that deer have to do? The deer has to find its food somewhere else. It is going to get its nutrients from the cedar tree. Sometimes here at the park, if you walk along, from about 4 feet down, you'll see no green left on a cedar tree. That's because the deer don't have enough food. If we eliminate the predators on the rabbit, then we have lots of rabbits and not a lot of grass. So now an animal that was eating grass and trees now only eats trees, and now we start to lose the trees. If the tree is shorter than 4 feet, they eat the entire tree. Okay? If you guys have any questions, just shout them out at any time. I'm just trying to show that in a food chain, everything is connected. So if we eliminate part of our food chain, we're changing the entire food chain. Everything from the grasses. The same thing could happen if we eliminated the deer or the owl, the rabbit or the skunk. Even if we eliminated the worms, it's going to change the entire system. And we need a balanced system. Typically, the energy from the sun that transfers down goes in a pyramid. Need to make that line a little thicker for you. So, if you think of this as our food chain, the energy actually starts at the bottom. So at the bottom, we have plants. All of our plants down here at the bottom. Then we've got our primary consumers. All right, the things that eat all of those plants. We're going to make circles for rabbits. Okay? But there aren't as many rabbits as there are plants. You need more plants than you do rabbits. Then you've got your owl up here. The owl is going to be a star. Okay? The owl eats lots of rabbits. So if we reduce the number of rabbits, then the owl has to go for something else, like a skunk. If we reduce the grass, then we reduce the rabbits, then we reduce the owls. Okay, so do you see how it's all connected? Now, next program, we're going to get into a food web to show even more how things are connected. We are keeping this very simple with only a few animals, okay? We really only need 4 things to make a good food chain. When we create a web, we'll show how all of these things are connected in more ways. So when you think of the food chain, I want you to remember this is energy. It's energy being passed from one thing to another. From the sun to the grass, to the rabbit, to the deer, and then to the decomposers. But just like a chain, how everything is connected, if you break that chain, if you take a link out of the chain or reduce a link in the chain and make it weaker, then you don't have a chain anymore. Have you guys ever heard the saying, a chain is only good as its weakest link? So if we think of a chain, all right, those are the links of our chain. They're all connected. If we took away one of these, that's not a chain anymore. Now we've just got a couple of links here and a couple of links here. You need a full chain. All right. So do we have any questions? Let's see if I've got any questions over here. Someone was asking where the deer came in. The deer came in late, didn't it? But it came in. All right. Not seeing very many questions, so I hope that this explains the basic idea of a food chain to everyone. Again, we'll be doing a food web program coming up, which will get into even more detail. But you need to understand how a chain works before we get into a food web. All right? And again, this program will be on our virtual learning center on meggspointnaturecenter.org. You can also see it on our YouTube channel, Meggs Point Nature Center YouTube channel. If you guys want to see other things, once in a while I find something out in the park and I'll take a picture or a little video and put it up on my Instagram. So that's ranger.russ on Instagram. And I'm going to ask everybody to follow us on Facebook and YouTube, and that way all of your friends can see the programs, and hopefully they will enjoy them as much as you are. So, I want to encourage everyone to go out and enjoy our state parks. They are open for hiking and biking. We're asking people not to picnic on our picnic tables. We've actually taken the picnic tables in because we can't really clean them. But you can do everything you want out in the parks that you would normally do, except you have to bring your own picnic blanket. And please take everything that you bring to the park, bring it home with you. Or you can throw it away. We do have some dumpsters here at Hammonasset. So, I hope everyone is enjoying these programs and enjoying this great weather. It's gorgeous here at Hammonasset today. And I will see you all tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and then we'll do a program again at 2 o'clock. Tomorrow we're actually going to do another book by John Himmelman. And then on Friday, I'm going to visit Fort Griswold, one of my all-time favorite places. As a kid, this was the coolest place. Lots of history there. It's going to be lots of fun. I love the history talk. So I will see you all tomorrow at 11 o'clock.